How is the housing market right now? You could be a buyer sitting on the sidelines or a seller looking to make a change, and you're getting mixed signals when you look out there for updates on the housing market. We are going to run through actual and factual data for Southern California in the Southern California Housing Market Report. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. We have been helping buyers and sellers make the best data-driven decisions in this crazy market. So if you're ready to run through the sales numbers, median home price, and Altos Research data for LA, Riverside, Orange County, San Bernardino, Ventura, and San Diego, hit that like button. And let's get started. Diving into the single family numbers for Orange County first, we're looking at sold properties. We're looking at properties that have gone under contract or in escrow. That is our demand. And then we're looking at new listings, which helps to make up our supply. And it's very evident that we are seeing, going all the way back to 2018, this time of year, the first 2 weeks of June, inventory has continued to drop. And by the inventory, I mean the new listings. We can see a dramatic drop in the number of new listings. In fact, there are more properties going under contract than we have new listings, a phenomenon I've dubbed the twist. We see that right now in Orange County. What does this mean? If you're a buyer, there's not much choice out there, and there's a lot of competition from other buyers. And if you're a seller, it's good news for you because you're going to have a lot of people competing for your property. Of course, it will also depend on price. We're going to dive into the Altos Research data at the end of this so you can see exactly how the different price points stack up. Moving into Orange County multifamily numbers, one of the only places where you're going to get the multifamily data as well. So you can see that the number of new listings is all over the place. We had a big drop in 2019. Things rallied back through COVID. And then we have a big drop in 2023. The number of properties going under contract has been very consistent. And demand is staying strong despite the increase in interest rates that is leading to a crunch on cash flow. So this is interesting to see. This is the tightest gap other than 2019 when we saw the big drop in new listings. This is the tightest gap that we're seeing. So inventory here is getting sucked up. If you're well priced, you are going to go in Orange County for multifamily. Not all the counties are like this. Orange County median family home price, single family homes, condo, townhouse, and we are looking at May's numbers. We can see month over month an increase, still typical this time of year. Last year, atypical. Last year we had a big peak in April, and that's when interest rates started to run up and people were trying to jump into the market, and then that led to a drop in the median home price as interest rates stay high. So we can see this month over month increase, this 3.8% number year over year. We did expect this to drop and get smaller because of this peak, and that's what's happened. So while we had closer to a 10% year over year when we were looking at April's numbers year over year, now we're starting to see this number decrease, and I expect it to potentially go positive, especially when you see a big hike in the median home price and we still have the demand that we do. So we can expect that the median home price for Orange County year over year by June could be zero or even positive again. Moving into the Altos Research data, and don't forget you can subscribe to this for any city or zip code. Make sure you do that. Orange County Market Action Index, we can see it is a seller's market, and month over month it became more of a seller's market. Looking at inventory, this is actually the lowest level of inventory. Each of these dots represents the level of inventory year over year. This is the lowest we've had going back all the way to at least June of 2018 and hint even farther. Also looking at the market segments broken down into quartiles, we can see that the days on market are only 2 weeks for the lowest quartile, and the median for the lowest quartile is 918,000. So those properties are moving quickly. And when we compare the new versus absorbed numbers here, we can see that there are far more properties being absorbed, particularly here at this price level. We can see far more being absorbed than are coming to the market. So we have no reason to expect things to slow down at any point here in the near future based on the number of properties we're seeing absorbed right now. Los Angeles County, starting out with the single family homes, LA has more properties than any of the other counties that we cover. So you're going to see more properties trade, but even here numbers are way down. You can see comparing 2018, the number of new listings, to 2023, we're off about 2,000 listings. That's a big drop. Now we did see an increase in 2021 and 2022 from the lows of 2020, but it's still down significantly and historically. So the other thing to take a look at is the gap between the new listings and pending sales. And this is one of the tightest gaps that we see, which means it's going to feel like more of a seller's market for a buyer out there because there's more competition. Even with demand down, and you can see that the number of pending sales has dropped, but even with demand down, when you have that tight gap, it feels like a seller's market. The other thing to note here, you can see where sales were down at this point in time in June of 2020. And the reason the sales were down were because of COVID and fewer properties going under contract. So the closings in June are for the escrows in May and before, and that is what has led to the drop in the number of properties that close in June of 2020. Los Angeles multifamily, a market that has just come out of the eviction moratorium. Those have finally expired, and there are going to be some effects on the single family numbers as well, as we see some landlords deciding to list their properties now that it's easier in some cases to list without a tenant in place. But we've released content on that. It's not as easy as you think. Multifamily, landlords can evict for non-payment of rent, so they don't necessarily have to suffer in selling a non-performing asset. Although the RSO changes things as far as rent increases, still can't do rent increases. We can see that the number of new listings is down, not at a record low, but close to the record low that we had here in 2020. And then we can see demand is about the same as it was as 2020 as well. So this market right here is very similar to how it looked in 2020, which is one of the lower times for that market. Los Angeles County median home price, another one that's up month over month. It's normal this time of year to see that increase. Last year was atypical, peaked early and then started to drop after flattening out. So we can see that it's down 6.9% year over year. This is smaller than it was as far as the percentage it was down as compared to last month. And we expect that this number will continue to shrink as values go up and we compare it to year over year. So we could get to the point in Los Angeles, just like Orange County, where very quickly we are seeing positive year over year gains again. Altos Research data for Los Angeles County, and it's stronger sellers market, up slightly month over month. Inventory is low. It looks like a record low as compared to years past. Dots representing year over year. And let's check out the different price points. We can see anything other than the top quartile is moving pretty quickly. Hey, don't forget we're real estate agents based in Southern California. If you are thinking of buying or selling, you definitely need to reach out to us first. Riverside County, single family. Look at here where we could see back in 2020, at this time we had the twist nearly where the number of properties going under contract were very close to the number of new listings. So that was a very tight time. And we're not too far off here back in 2023. So the demise of the real estate market has been exaggerated. It will feel very much like a seller's market, and it is in many respects a seller's market. Even with a drop in demand, we see the big drop in supply. Riverside multifamily, something certainly notable here is the very big drop in demand. Only 2 properties went under contract in the first 2 weeks of June in Riverside County, and look at how low that is compared to years past. Much lower than this peak we had here in 2021. Inventory is down, so it's also a low time for inventory, but demand way down, surprisingly down. We know that the increase in interest rates is making cash flow tougher on properties, but this is an interesting trend that we're going to have to continue to see and see if we can figure out why demand has completely dried up for Riverside multifamily. Maybe it's just a quirk and the numbers will return to normal next month. Riverside median home price, we see the increase month over month, and it's been going up pretty significantly. We can see we're down 3.6% year over year, and we had that peak around the April time period like the rest of Southern California. I know in the news you're hearing it was May. According to InfoSparks, it was actually April of 2022 when we saw a peak in most of Southern California. So we're going to continue to see the increase in the month-over-month median home price for another month or two. When we get later into the summer, it's supposed to turn, although we may find it doesn't turn this time around because there's just not much inventory and still enough demand. So we do expect this negative 3.6 year-over-year percentage to start to go positive very soon, and maybe even by when we run the numbers for June. Riverside Altos Research data market action index is up slightly month over month, so more of a seller's market. We can see inventory is down and not as low as 2021, so not a record low, but definitely low other than 2021 at this point in time. And then taking a look at new versus absorbed, we can see all price points that they are being absorbed more quickly than they're coming to market. Interestingly, the bottom of the market, the bottom quartile, taking longer than the middle two. Interesting trend to see. It could be that basically just even the properties down at the bottom are overpriced. And while this is very obvious in any market where you're overpriced, you're going to sit longer on the market. San Bernardino County, starting with single family, we could see back in 2020 at this point in time, we had that twist. More properties going under contract than we had new listings. And a similar trend where we see low inventory. And the gap here between the number of new listings and pending sales is the tightest it's been other than that twist we had in 2020. So very much a seller's market in San Bernardino. Of course, we're going to take a look at which price points are moving the quickest. San Bernardino multifamily, we can see, like we saw in Riverside, often those two markets tend to track together. We can see that demand is way down in San Bernardino for multifamily. Supply down as well. That's no surprise. Demand down. We will have to continue to track this and see. It's definitely not weather related at this point in time. We know that in some of the numbers were potentially affected by weather, the excess snow we had, but now that's not the case. So we can see for San Bernardino and Riverside, it looks like the high interest rates are really pushing demand down. We'll have to track this to see what happens. San Bernardino median home price, we can see it is up month over month, but there was a drop the previous month. This one's been more of a struggle. It's going up and down for the median home price. Peaked back then. So we're down about 5% year over year. And it does look like it could go closer to a 0% or even go positive, but it may continue to struggle like it has here. And this is mostly due to inventory and maybe a drop in demand in certain price points. We'll see if the Altos Research data gives us any insight into this. San Bernardino Altos Research data, we are up month over month, slightly stronger seller's market. Moving into inventory, similar to Riverside in that it's down at a record low. Other than it was in 2021, still very low inventory, and things are moving quickly. Another quirk where the bottom of the market is moving slower than the middle two, but we can see based on the numbers of properties that are absorbed, we can see there's not enough inventory and things will continue to move along at a swift pace. Ventura County single family homes. This is a county we'll see in the data. It tends to be marching to its own drummer and doesn't necessarily follow the rest of what's going on in the Southern California area. Of course, the fewest number of properties. So while LA had the most number of properties in the county, Ventura has the fewest numbers of the 6 we're covering. And again, inventory down. The gap between pending sales and the number of properties that are listed is tight. Not crazy tight. We see it was actually tighter in 2020 and tighter in 2021. So it still feels a little bit like a seller's market in Ventura. Ventura multifamily, always all over the place. The absolute fewest number of properties to sell, so it's hard to really suss out much of a trend. We can see that there was only 1 new listing, so inventory is down. A couple properties went under contract. So technically, this is the twist here. We had 2 go under contract, 1 new listing, so maybe it's a hot, crazy market. Ventura County median home price, we could see it has certainly rallied back, increases month over month for past few months, and we can see that actually year over year, it's only down 0.1%, 0.1% negative. So it's looking like Ventura is rallying back, and pretty soon we're going to have positive year over year increases for median home price in Ventura. Now, of course, fewer number of sales, so maybe it's easier for the median to be skewed when we have such small numbers, but we'll definitely have to keep tracking to see what happens here in Ventura. Wrapping up Ventura County with the Altos Research data. Don't forget any city or zip code. You can throw that in here. Anyone across the nation and get the data. So we can see it is a strong seller's market in Ventura and went up slightly month over month. Inventory down. Looks to be a record low or close to where things were in 2021. And then the different market segments, everything at the bottom moving quickly, as quick as Orange County. New versus absorbed. Other than the two middle quartiles here, we can see that more inventory is being absorbed, then coming to the market. In fact, we can see the highest quartile is moving pretty quickly from an absorption standpoint in Ventura County. San Diego County, starting with the single family home data, no surprises here. Inventory down, demand down, but also one of the tightest gaps between new listings and pending sales that we've seen. 2020 was tight as well, but not as tight as it is now. So you can see here that it is a seller's market, and the Altos Research Market Action Index will reflect this. Can't wait to show you that number. Another important thing to note here, I discuss this occasionally, you can see where the number of closed sales is lower than the pending sales. What this means is we're going to see an increase in the number of closed sales. So this number will start to go up as we go into the months ahead. In counties where the pending sales are below the closed sales, we're going to see a decrease in closed sales as compared to that number right now. San Diego multifamily, we can see the drop in inventory like we saw in some of the other counties. In fact, you'll see that San Diego and Orange County tend to track together as San Bernardino and Riverside tend to track together. So we can see demand is down, not terribly low, supply down. So the gap here is actually the tightest it's been. So more of a seller's market for multifamily, even with the high interest rates, even with the reduction in cash flow. We can see here that in San Diego that it's still a seller's market for multifamily. San Diego median home price up month over month, and it has been for the past few months. We can see that we are only down about 3% year over year for the median home price. And based on the way it's been increasing, it is looking again like the rest of the Southern California counties that we will get to a positive year over year value for the increase in the median home price. Not huge. We're not going back to the 10s and 20s year over year, but it could be positive year over year very quickly in most of Southern California and San Diego as well. San Diego Altos Research data. This is the strongest sellers market we have in Southern California, according to the Market Action Index, and it went up month over month. Inventory down, like some of the other counties, we saw a record low amount of inventory at this point in time, less inventory than any of the other dots year over year. And we can see, wow, this is the fastest quartile in all of Southern California. In a week, properties in the bottom quartile in San Diego being absorbed. Extreme seller's market for that bottom quartile. All the other quartiles, we can see similar case where the properties are being absorbed faster than they're coming to the market. And this is certainly a hot market, and we can see why the Market Action Index is where it is for San Diego for single family homes. Our usual subscribers may have noticed the change in these videos where we clumped everything together by county. Did you like it? Let us know. Let us know what you're seeing out in the market and where you think things are headed. Do you believe median home prices are going to go positive year over year? Do you think the market's about to tank? I want to hear from you. Subscribe to those Altos Research reports like we mentioned, and you'll be subscribed to our free weekly email newsletter, so you'll get these updates coming to you every Sunday in your email inbox. And if you like this data, you're going to love this next video. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and we want to hear from you.